So I get a lot of questions about oral GLP-1s and whether or not an oral GLP-1 is worth taking. So I'm Tiffany, I am a physician assistant, but I'm also a GLP-1 advocate, and I help people get access to GLP-1s that maybe don't have access through traditional insurance coverage. So let's get into oral GLP-1s and whether or not that's something that you should invest in. So the main issue with a GLP-1 is that when you take a GLP-1, whether or not you take it through an injection form or through a pill, is it's got to be available to your body to actually work. And so we call that bioavailability, meaning that how much of the drug, once it gets into your body, is actually going to be working. Because GLP-1s are peptides, it's a little bit problematic for them to be in an oral form because your stomach acid can create a problem with bioavailability. This is true of lots of different hormones, so it's really kind of hard for people to take a lot of hormones by mouth. So although GLP-1s do come in an oral form, there is an oral form of semaglutide. It's called Rybelsus, and it's been out for a while. But the bioavailability of Rybelsus or oral semaglutide is not good. So when people take it by mouth, only about 1% of the drug is actually active after it goes through your stomach. So that's much different than when you inject the drug, where a very large portion of the medication is actually active. Also, when you're looking at taking a medicine that's oral in a GLP-1 form, it's really, really important to not eat or drink when you take the medicine, and you need to not eat or drink for at least 30 minutes to up to an hour in order to get the best bioavailability. So that also has a lot of restrictions. Sometimes that's hard for people to follow those rules. So when we look at the studies on Rybelsus or oral semaglutide, we look in probably about 5 to 10% of weight loss, percentage of weight loss happens with that. So although we do see some, definitely not as good as the injectable forms of GLP-1s. So although this is not a horrible option for people, these medicines are still not cheap. So your better bang for your buck is definitely the injectable forms of GLP-1s. Now there is a new drug that is coming to market soon. It's called orforglipron, and it is actually a non-peptide oral medication. And so this is kind of exciting because it's not a peptide, the bioavailability is going to be much better. This is currently in phase 3 clinical trials, so not available yet, but the clinical trials are looking good. It is owned by none other than Eli Lilly. So to be determined, this drug is coming out hopefully sometime next year for diabetes and weight loss. So, but as of right now, our oral versions of GLP-1s are semaglutide, and if you're asking my personal opinion, probably not worth the money. I have seen some oral versions of tirzepatide that's been advertised. To be honest with you, I don't really know much about those. That is not something that has been studied. So if they're making a version of that, then I think that is not really something I know much about, and I don't really want to speak on. So my personal opinion is if you were going to pay for a GLP-1, I would personally pay for the injectable version. If you're nervous about doing an injection, the needles are so tiny and it's once a week. And so for the most part, most people realize, like, once they do one injection, they're like, oh, that was easy. I can totally do that. So if you need more info about getting access to medications, then check out the link in my profile and I can help you get access. All right, guys, y'all have a good night.